Hey everyone, Cream Ray here, and today I have Matthew Arnone on with us today. He is the founder of MindFrame. Matthew, can you please, talk a little bit about how you started creating this platform and what it's all about?
Yeah, so thanks for having me firstly. Very excited to talk about MindFrame always. Every time I get on, it starts with the same question and it always starts from within. For me, it's something that I needed. It's something that I wished I had growing up. It was something that for me as an individual with my life context, it was an ability to push further. It was an ability to tap into my full potential. And when I say that, I mean not just on the physical side, not just on the footballing side, but on the emotional, mental side of things. And the program itself is mindfulness in sport. It's mindfulness in high performance spaces. It's using that mindfulness. It's using the ability to regulate. It's using the ability to find recovery, enhance recovery. It's using the ability to find movement and stillness to elevate your performance. And also find enjoyment and find flow, right? So when we talk about flow, we talk about being in the zone, right? But if we're feeling anxious, if we're not feeling, if we have that little voice in our head, kind of giving us negative feedback, it's very hard to enter that flow state, right? It's very hard to be in the zone. We all know what it feels like as athletes. We've all been in that space where we're not even sure what we did or how we did what we did. It kind of zips by in terms of the distortion of time. We're not sure how much time has passed, but we're enjoying ourselves. And that feeling is very conducive to us tapping into our optimal selves or success on the field or goals that we've set for ourselves. So if we can tap into that a little bit more often, chances are we're going to have a little bit more success, and chances are we're going to feel a little bit better about ourselves. We're going to have some more confidence. We're going to have better self-esteem. But that starts within. So when we talk about mindfulness, Kareem, we talk about awareness. We talk about being in the present moment. And so when we're in the present moment, there's a few things that happen. We're actually training our attentional focus. So when we think of things like meditation, and it doesn't have to be just meditation, but we look at high performance habits as simply applying attentional focus. So focusing on the same thing that my body is doing. So having mind and body in the same place. When we have our mind in another place, we can still do the thing and we might be able to still do it well. But I think we can all agree when we have our mind and our body together, we'll do the thing better. And that's what it's all about, right? So for me, why I say I needed it is because I'm someone who very much grew up with a predisposition to anxiety. I carried anxiety with me. I always felt very anxious. On the field, I had performance anxieties that really held me back from the thing that I love, from enjoying football, A, and B, achieving my dream of being a professional footballer. So I designed a program to walk the athlete through a mindful way, a very productive way, a high performance mindset, but every aspect of that journey, every aspect from goal setting to focus, to strength and conditioning, to technical work, but really stripping things down, really stripping it down to finding the best version of yourself, finding a technique that works for you to elevate your performance, finding a technique that works for you to help you find relief from that stress or that anxiety, helping you find this skill of attentional focus. Once you master that skill of attentional focus, you can direct it in any way you choose. And when you can direct it on the things that matter in football or in the things that matter in life, you're able to execute those things better. You're better able to be a better human, right? We talk about the human underneath the jersey. That's what this program aims to address. It aims to make the human under the jersey better so that when they put the jersey on, they're a better version of that human, right? They're an athlete and they're a healthier athlete. So in the attainment of high achievement, as you know, Kareem, we talked about, there are stressors that come with being an athlete. There are things that, whether that be a student athlete and juggling, high levels of academia and high levels of athletics, there's a lot of things that really pile up on us. But when we can find refuge, when we can find peace within, when we can find that few moments of breathing, and we can focus on that breath just for a few moments, we're giving ourselves that break that we need to push further, right? So that's what this program's about. It's very educational in nature. It's very experiential in nature, but it's exploring mindfulness techniques as a way to not only elevate performance, but help you find the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I wish when I had growing up too, because I was going outside of soccer to find people like, Kevin Trudeau, Your Wish is Your Command, people like, uh, something Hinks. What's her name again? Just other people, right, that have created mindfulness or mind content around the mind, on understanding the mind, psychology, so on and so forth. It's nice to have something within the game that you're creating, and that you come from an experience of, being an aspiring footballer to a professional footballer and making your dreams come true. So I think it's a great platform for players to be at, and something cool that you're creating. My last question would be, what's your short-term goals with MindFrame, and the last one would be your long-term goals.
Yeah, so I think my short-term goals are certainly to start at the low-hanging fruit, start with my community, and start to build this and educate and promote this as something that is foundational in nature when we think about high performance, or when we think about any sport. So when we start sport, if I've done my job correctly within my small community, it's to establish a degree of congruency between the long-term player development model. So when we talk about our grassroots clubs, if we can incorporate this type of training or this type of exposure to these athletes, at least for them to take and explore and play with as part of their development, then we're not just addressing the soccer player from 8 years old or from 6 years old. We're able to teach these athletes tools to be resilient in any walk of life, right? Whether they spend 1 year in football or they spend 30 years in football, the idea is that we continue on humaning long after we're done being athletes, right? So stress is something innate to being a human. And if we can teach these strategies, then at the very least, we don't necessarily all need to be high performers, but we all experience stress, and we all need to be able to have tools to combat that stress. So again, that's something that afflicted me at a young age, and still does to this day. And that's something that we constantly have to combat. But again, if we can start to if we can start to implement this and make this common practice within our grassroots in our community, then we'll talk about the long term, which is, on a large scale. And it's not just me who does this, but on a large scale, I want this to be considered a form of mental hygiene, a form of emotional hygiene, where we can start to sit with those thoughts and those emotions, and they don't necessarily take control of us. We gain control over our consciousness, where these have the benefits that it starts to become very normalized. It starts to become something that, you and I would never leave the house without brushing our teeth in the morning, right? And eating breakfast. I would very much love long-term to have MindFrame contribute to that being a normal thing, right? Just like we know exercise is good for us, and we know brushing our teeth is good for our teeth, but this, if we can incorporate this, and if we're doing our job on the promotional side of things, we can also start to help others build their own comprehensive, I call it a mental health routine, or a mental health hygiene routine, right? It's practicing hygiene. It's proactive in nature, rather than waiting for something to happen or mental illness to strike before we find these interventions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think tapping into the grassroots is a great way to start and grow. I think parents would find this very valuable. I could see this already being a huge idea. It's not interfering with anybody's territory. It's not like starting an academy or club. So I definitely see this as an asset, and can be massive. In regards to the advertising, I do have something offline that I can think would spark your interest. But Matthew, again, thank you for sharing MindFrame with us. And I think there's something that we could do here. So again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thanks to the listeners. Thanks, everybody.